Hi everybody, so today I want to do a bit of a different video and I want to talk about the difference in life or just differences in general between life in Canada and Australia. And I think this is really important because it throws a lot of things into perspective, especially if you are considering going or if you really want to know what's what. These are things that your friends would probably tell you if you were to call them and they've moved to Australia and you really want to know what's going on, and they're going to be like, oh my god, you know that thing that we can do there? Yeah, you can't do that here. So let's begin. Number one, I think the most important thing that we should remember is Canada is in the northern hemisphere and Australia is in the southern hemisphere. Number two, Canada gets a lot of snow, especially if you live on the eastern coast, which is where I'm from. I'm from Toronto/Ottawa. Australia does not have snow. The winters are more windy and rainy. Number three, the concept of customer service I feel like does not exist in Australia and has not been brought there as much as in Canada. I know people who complain about customer service in Canada, and it does happen, but if you look at the average experience and the average expectations that Canadians have from customer service, they're just not going to fly in Australia. Like, you can't call your phone company and be like, hey, this is the problem, if you don't fix it I'm gonna leave. Like, I had an issue and I called the customer service department, they're like, we don't care, okay, bye. So that's pretty important to know. So if you are one of those people who really thrives on customer experience, you're gonna have issues, and there are places where you can get good service, and I have. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in general, that sort of aspect of customer service, of going to lengths to make the customer happy and making sure the customer's right, is not really there. A lot of people prefer to shop and do their service in countries like America and Canada for this reason. Number three, am I at three? Whatever. The next number is things are not as easily accessible as they are in Canada. So a lot of products, whether they're cosmetics, clothing, shoes, whatever, are not available in Australia, and even when they are, they're so overpriced, it's not even funny. Like, certain cosmetic brands that are considered low end or are less than $10 at Walmart, you're going to go to Australia and you're going to be expected to pay like 30 bucks for them. And someone said that it's because of like the duty and the shipping and all that stuff, and I'm just like, whatever, man, I am not paying that much money. The other thing that I've heard is that the reason they do that is so that you will actually purchase more Australian products because they're a lot more affordable, and they're trying to promote like what's the word, like selling of their own goods and stuff like that. I think it's kind of good, like you're helping out the environment, you're helping the country, and a lot of the products that they have that are made in Australia are so incredible, you guys. You're not really gonna miss out on much, and you're actually gonna start loving the Australian products way more, especially because they're a lot more strict on what they consider natural. And so if you are getting something that's not natural, it in fact is. So I think that's really good, but it's also bad because if you're used to buying like cheaper products, you can't get them. Okay, next. So you know how in Canada it's always cold and you want to go in the sun and you feel depressed because of the weather? What I love about Australia is that the sun is always out, so even in the winter you can actually just kind of go for a walk on the beach, and it's really, really nice. Of course it's a little bit chilly, but when you're a Canadian it's not that bad and it's actually really beautiful. I used to go for runs by the beach all the time, and then I kind of stopped and got lazy, but it's still really, really amazing. The next thing that I want to talk about is traveling from Australia to another place is way more expensive than traveling from Canada to another place. So if you are one of those people who likes to go home or you like to travel a lot, that's going to be a huge nuisance because traveling out of Australia is very hard. The next thing is that I actually think that once you start earning in Australia and earn in Australian wages, you can actually afford to do quite a bit. And I found that my personal and professional life and the quality of both was a lot better than in Canada. I don't know if that was just true for me because I just fell in love with the country, or if that's true for everyone, but I really do believe that once you start earning there and you start kind of like getting into the lifestyle, it doesn't seem as much of a struggle as people claim. It's just that if you're traveling there, everything does seem extremely overpriced. Okay, this one is a bit of a sensitive subject, but I really want to include this, especially for people who are like me, who aren't from Caucasian backgrounds. I find that Australia is not as culturally aware as Canada is, and especially Toronto. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying Australia is racist or anything like that, or Australians are racist. I just find that, you know, I didn't meet any second or third generation Indians or Chinese people, for instance, who are a huge chunk of Canada in Australia, and a lot of them are new immigrants, and when they come, they seem to kind of cluster together and they're not really amalgamating within the community. And you know, I would go to a store or you go to a bar, and it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes people will treat you differently. And I know a lot of you are sitting there going, well, it happens to us too in Canada. Yeah, I get it. Like, I think Canada, there are people who are racist, like they're just outright racist, but I think in Australia it's just different, where I think there's not as much awareness of what different cultures are, where people come from, and you know, what they're all about, as much as in Canada. But the thing is, they do know a lot more about the country because Australians love cricket and all that sort of stuff. It's just like, I can give you an example. Like, if I go into a store, people will look at me and then they will treat me based on what they think I'm like, as opposed to who I really am. I don't know. I think I'm not really making any sense. What I'm trying to say is, I just think that Australia as a whole does not have as much exposure to different cultures and diversity as Canada does. So I think it's a bit of a drawback, and I didn't meet as many people who came from varied racial backgrounds as I do in Canada. The next thing I want to say is that I think I really like in Australia the culture, or it's very easy to live a very wholesome, very organic life, which is very simple and very not hasty, whereas in countries like Canada or cities like Toronto, New York, or London, where things are always sort of go, 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 you can have the benefit of living in a big city like Sydney or Melbourne and still be close to the beach and have a very relaxed lifestyle where you can go to work, you know, be very desk job, and then you can kind of come back, relax on the beach, or go out for a beer and go surfing later, which I think is really, really good. I think I sort of covered like a few basic points, but I really wanted to talk about them because I think this will really help a lot of people gauge what Australia is like, and I think it's really good to get information that's more unfiltered and true. So hopefully I'm able to help you guys out. If you have any more questions, please keep asking me and I will keep providing you with these videos. I will definitely see you guys next week with more about Australia. Until then, thank you so much. Please don't forget to comment, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think, and hopefully I'm helping you guys out. Love you.